Hi, I'm Roma from Beauty to Go. Today I am filming from Brisbane, Australia. We're going to be talking about gray hair transitioning, and I'm very excited about this video. So as for me, I have been coloring my hair since I was really young. My mom started coloring my hair when I was 9. I know that sounds very young. I was a child performer, and so I've been coloring my hair for 40 years, and I never thought that I would not color my hair. I assumed I would always color my hair. Maybe it would lighten, or maybe I'd do highlights, or as I age, but I would always have colored hair. And I've noticed that since COVID and since we've been shut into our homes and away from everybody, a lot of people have changed their perspective on gray hair. A lot of women are coming out of our COVID period with gray hair. Maybe they've let it grow out, or they've cut it short and let the rest grow out, and they've got gray hair and it's looking good. And we're starting to see famous actresses and women who are movers and shakers that are of a certain age, and they have gray hair and they look great. I think of Andie MacDowell, Helen Mirren. There's some beautiful actresses who are going, it's okay that I'm of a certain age and I naturally have gray or white hair, and I'm gonna let it go that way. So all of a sudden there's this shift in mentality that gray hair is not the enemy. So I decided while I'm traveling full time that I would let my roots grow out, and I would decide from there if I liked it or hated it, if it made me cringe, or if I kind of embraced it. I really wasn't sure what was gonna happen. So I've been growing my hair for about 4 months, my roots, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you'll see here, I've got a lot of whites on my side, and I've got some grays up here. I tend to have more pepper in the back, a lot of salt on the sides, and a little bit of mix up in the front. So again, here's more of that grow out. This is about a 4-month root grow out so far. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna look into the options of what I can do for hair grow out, and I'm going to see if I like the look. Maybe I hate it. Maybe I look at it and go, oh, I could never do that. So this was an opportunity for me to do that. I am not the world's most patient person, and so I didn't want to have to grow out my hair where I've got, gray and white and then brown or black or whatever colors. So if you too struggle with the idea of having this transition where you've got, your grays and your whites and then your color, and you're thinking, oh, this could last for 2+ years, I'm going to take you on an adventure today. We're actually going to do some gray blending and gray transitioning today at the hairdressers. So I want to tell you a little bit about what is gray transitioning. So you may have seen gray transitioning videos pop up on your feeds. And gray transitioning is when someone comes in with hair similar to mine. They've got a lot of gray or white roots, and they say, I just want it done. So the hairdresser will go in and they'll match the roots, and they'll pull it all the way through the rest of the hair shaft, and all of a sudden their hair will match their roots and they don't have a grow out process. So for someone like me, I thought this is a great idea. Except, first of all, it's very hard to find a hairdresser who specializes in this technique. It's quite rare. And so you have to look far and wide. They're booked out months at a time. So fortunately, I'm traveling, like I said, I'm in Brisbane, and I found a gray hair specialist who that's what their whole salon does. They do gray hair specialty. And so I decided to book an appointment and to go in for a consultation about getting a gray hair transition. So if you want a gray hair transition or gray hair blending, you will need to have your roots grow out a minimum of 3 to 4 months, if not 6 months, because they need to be able to match your existing pattern with what's going on. But if they can't see it well enough, then they won't be able to do it. So keep in mind, even in order to have a gray blend, you're going to need grow out. Now, I went in for a consultation with the hairstylist, and I was really excited about doing this gray transition, and boom, it would be done overnight. And she quickly explained that this is not the process. That in fact, the full gray transition is not for everyone and not for every hair type. So I discovered that because I have naturally curly hair, and I blew it out a bit today, but because I have naturally curly hair, it's not a good fit for me, in that curly hair, because it's twirling around, it requires a lot more moisture and it can break a lot easier. So the amount of bleach that they have to use to get similar to these natural white colors is very, very high. And so for somebody who has fine hair such as myself or curly hair such as myself, it's really, really possible that my hair would just break off, which I did not think was an upgrade. So instead, my hairstylist has offered me a solution of gray hair blending. So what we're going to do is we're going to color all the hair shaft to match more of this gray tone. It's gonna be very cool, it's gonna be very ash and very gray, but we're not gonna pull these whites all the way through because again, that's a really high bleach and a lot of my hair could break off. So we're gonna blend out what are in these white sections. We're gonna put a little bit of low lights in to kind of blend it and let it grow more naturally. Again, because my hair is curly, that line, that mark of that demarcation line that you can sometimes see when you've got white hair and then black hair isn't so obvious because I have curly hair. So we're just gonna do some blending, but there's a lot of techniques they can do, even if you have straight hair, that they can blend that line and sort of smooth it so that it looks more natural as it's growing out. So I invite you to come with me today. We're headed to the hairdresser and I'm going on my gray hair blending transition. Come with me.
Okay, so we spoke a little bit last time about your transitioning to grey. You explained that you have an old colour on here, just the Vela Colour Touch, from what I remember, and it was a level 7?
It's actually level 5, but it's faded because it's a demi.
Right, so it's a level 5, but it's faded up. Okay, not a problem.
So you mentioned that I wasn't a good candidate for a full transition.
Yeah, that is correct.
And can you explain why?
In my opinion, we're dealing with a hair that is naturally coarse, naturally curly, and naturally dry because of that. If I went in with bleach to remove any of this pigment, it would make all those aspects of your hair even worse and could even break your natural structure, curl structure and curl pattern. Your upkeep would be infinitely more difficult. As you're still traveling, as we want to keep your hair as healthy as possible and as natural as possible, yeah, bleaching just, like, we have to take it off the table.
Yeah.
So basically, because you're still really salt and pepper and you haven't really got a predominant amount of salty in your hair, as an overall, obviously there are places like here where, yeah, okay, we can see you're like 80 to 90% salty, but here, not at all, and back here, absolutely not at all. You're still much more peppery at the back here. That means that we can actually match your length and get rid of this sort of brassy, outgrown color. We'll just match it to the pepper part of your hair rather than trying to bleach it and match it to the salty part. So not only for condition is that better for your hair, but also we would never attain a color that would even resemble the white. It would always be blonde because we can't bleach your hair till it is white. It would snap off. We would burn literally every single molecule in your hair. And you'd end up having to cut it off. So it doesn't even make sense to do that necessarily unless you are predominantly white, where that would be a calculated risk, but even then it might not work. Okay. So in this case, toning this all down, trying to get that sort of charcoal, yes, it will be deeper in parts than your natural, but getting that charcoal feeling through the hair, you're actually going to have something that blends so much better with like these silvers, these whites, these blacks, and these grays, because it's all samey at that point. We're not dealing with like bright yellow or bright orange or like an outgrown brown color. We get to conserve hair health. And the upkeep is super easy. We spoke last time about the shampoo and the toner. Yeah, I think for you, this is probably the best option. It's going to look lovely, and it's going to go with your skin tone and everything better anyway, because you were a brunette, so we're just kind of sticking with those darker colors, which, you know, is always nicer than having to go blonde when you're not necessarily a blonde person, because because it's not just about skin color and eye color, and it's also about, you know, personality and how you like to wear your hair. So I think, yeah, for us, this is the best option today.
Okay, great. So we'll be doing an overall semi-permanent color.
So no, I'm not going to do it on the roots. I'm literally just going to blend through, blend through these parts here where you can see the white start and that. We're just going to blend it through slightly, so there will be a small demarcation, not too much. That washes up lighter as well. So today it will be a little bit stronger, but we actually are just trying to get rid of this brown color, because brown is polar opposite to gray and white and black. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to actually turn this into like a charcoal gray color through.
Okay, here's the grand reveal. I have had my hair colored. I've had it blended in with my existing gray that I'm growing out. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, and we'll talk about the process. So the hair that was sort of lighter brown is now a darker ashy colored dark brown, and they wanted to have it similar to my existing pepper, they called it. We didn't cover over my existing gray because that wasn't the point, was to cover up the gray. It's to blend in the gray. So what they did is they put in some low lights throughout this very white section that I had here to help blend that out. And the theory is that overall I continue to grow it, but it's not so obvious in my hairline as it was before, because I don't have that warm brown hair that I had before. So this is the overall finished look. Like I say, it's a bit of an ashier color. My plan now moving forward is they've given me a color shampoo that's for gray hair, as well as a weekly toner. So I'm going to continue toning my hair, and you can see throughout the coming weeks how that will look on me. Overall, this is currently the finished look. The idea is that I will continue to grow out my hair, my grays as well. And in approximately 6 or 8 months, I will be able to go back and get some more low lights put in and kind of blend it even more. Now, I had only grown my grays out for 4 months, and so this was all the space they had to work with. If you are someone who wants to grow out your hair and get it blended and you've grown it out a bit longer, that will give them more options for putting in those low lights and blending it a bit more. That's why they suggest I go back in a few more months once there's some more growth and get it blended again and continue keeping it toned, keeping it cool, and just letting it grow a little bit. So it's somewhat of a natural process because you're seeing where the grays start, but it also doesn't make it so obvious with where all the grays are. Where the end of the gray starts and then the colors are. So it's not as strong. Overall, I thought this was a good process. I do recommend it. It's much more affordable than getting a full gray transition. This would be considered like a toner and low lights essentially. So you're probably paying between $200 and $400 for this versus up to $2,500 for a gray transition. So if you are someone who's wanting to grow out those grays, but you're really not liking the look of a stark line that's perhaps white and then black, or then gray and then warm blondes, consider this option. It's really affordable. Like I say, it's a toner with low lights, blending it into the grays and letting it grow out. So hopefully this has helped you, and I'll see you in some upcoming videos. If you've enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe.